Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm finally getting back to some weekly recaps of my training after the North American Championships. Obviously that was a big prep, and kind of coming off of any big meet, I like to take a bit of a down week, so the week immediately following the North American Championships was pretty much off. I did go in one day to do some light bodybuilding, but I didn't touch a barbell at all. And then this week was my first true week back to full-time training. So what you will notice is we're back to pretty high repetitions, and the weights are going to be pretty light as well. Bill gave me all RPE work, and part of the reason for that is coming off of a meet, it can be tough to kind of gauge how your work capacity is going to be able to adapt to the higher rep ranges. If you kind of go off of percentages to, take a shot at what you should be able to hit for reps, you can potentially push things too far, get too sore, and then injure yourself. So the whole point of this week and the next week is going to be just to get back into the groove and get my body back to, functioning as far as being able to handle some sort of work. And it also doubles kind of with school starting this coming week. Stress is going to be up, so it's nice to have that RPE where I can make adjustments on the fly based on how I'm feeling. Now, this week overall, I would say it was a good week, but it's just so funny how coming in after a big competition, the motivation's very high, but after that first day, I was just perpetually beat up throughout the week, and, really fighting that soreness and fatigue from the reps, even though, as you can tell, it's not a super heavy load by any means. Just that muscular soreness was up there. So the name of the game for the week was just to survive, and because of this week, I'm actually pivoting a little bit of my plan as far as my diet goes. I'm going to go into a maintenance phase. I just think cutting through this type of hypertrophy off-season work is a bad idea. It's a recipe for getting hurt. So I'm going to go ahead and go into maintenance so I can bring up those calories and really focus on recovering from these sessions while maintaining the lighter body weight that I had going into the North American Championships. So that was just kind of an overview. At this point, I haven't specifically talked about any of the sets, and that's because most of them, for the most part, were pretty easy. I think I did a good job of keeping things light as the week went on. And something that I did have to do was flip-flop day 3 and day 4 because of kind of my schedule for the week. I wasn't able to train on Saturday like I normally do. So I had to train Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 days in a row. So what I did was I flipped day 4 and day 3 because day 4 was the heaviest day here with these squats. And as you'll see, I had some heavier bench and deadlift. I just knew if I had 3 days consecutively leading into this day, it was going to be a recipe for something not good. So I flip-flopped the two so I was a little more fresh for this day. And it worked out pretty well. Going in, I was nervous how I was going to feel for these squats because I was still sore from Monday's safety bar squat reps. But, these moved really well. And 565 pounds is a great starting point for a 3x5. And, as I get adapted to be able to handle the higher workloads, that's only going to shoot up from here. So I'm excited to see where we can build with some of these weights. Now, as far as the fatigue goes, I would say my upper body is what felt it the most. I was just so sore throughout my chest and arms. And that was mostly because day 2, 3, and 4 were all pretty high rep bench days. So this bench single is a single at 7. you would expect it to be way higher, but because I was so sore, I was kind of tentative. I played it safe, and then we'll just build off of that next week and moving forward. And then I backed off with 325 pounds for the 3x8, once again because I was pretty darn sore, playing it conservative. At this point in my training career, I know that's to be expected. I'm not worried about that. I think this overwhelming sense of soreness will go away in the next week to 2 weeks, and then I'll really be able to push the weights up because I'll get stronger in those rep ranges. So not too worried that these had to stay relatively light, but I also know that these kind of reps, this is what really builds my 3-lift total. So this is the boring stuff that you really have to focus on if you want to focus on the long game to build an extreme total. And at this point, we're over 6 weeks out from, or 6 weeks, 6 months out from Classic Nationals that's going to be in Reno, Nevada. So plenty of time. As I mentioned before, North Americans was just the stepping stone to defending that title, and that's the main focus here. And I think there's a lot of promise in what we put up at North Americans, but there were also a couple things that I need to fix, and that's what makes it exciting, because an even bigger total can be put up here in this coming March if I fix a couple things, get stronger in some places, and I really sit at this body weight for a little bit. I think we're lining up for something big, but patience is key. Kind of just hitting the reps. As you can see, I kept it really light for this 3x8 on deadlifts, and the same thing here. This was the final day of the week. I certainly could have pushed this up higher in weight. I'll do that next week, but at this point I was very sore and just kind of getting in the groove of doing the reps. So we're back to the hex bar as well for deadlifts. Trying to be more diligent on giving it a pause at the bottom, or at least letting that weight come to a full stop rather than doing touch and go reps on the hex bar. It's a pain in the neck because the handles on this hex bar are really sharp. So whenever I take the tension off of my hands and re-engage, it's like re-digging into that really sharp knurling. I just need to man up on that one, right? Bite the bullet and deal with it. And hopefully that builds the bottom of my deadlift a little bit better. Then the last set that I have recorded, this is probably my happiest round of benching that I had for the week. It was at the end, 375 for 4 sets of 5. Supposed to be at 7. I would say this was pretty close. And once again, plenty of room to kind of keep rolling with this and see where bench can take us. I know my competitors, they've got huge benches, huge deadlifts. Honestly, at the top level, every lift is going to be big, but for me, in my opinion, in March, bench is going to be a big deal. So overall, feeling good, ready to keep it rolling. School starts next week, so thank you all for tuning in, and until next time, happy lifting.